Good afternoon, good morning. Hello, everyone. I'm not sure if you can hear me. I guess if I see a lot of thumbs up, it means that we're live. If not, just let me know. I think there's a whole discussion space on the right-hand corner that has been made available because it's always quite strange to speak to yourself on a screen, but I do hope everybody can hear me perfectly. Um, yeah, first, thank you everybody. I think it's almost end of the day for many of you on the line. So thanks a lot for bearing with me and listening in to this new session. I guess it's been a long day for many of you. So wait, let me figure out how I can first go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Um Today's conversation is really going to be around the entrepreneurial journey that we face in our family enterprise and how we came about basically leveraging technology, using modern softwares to help us better operate as a family office and as a family business, help us make decisions, help us, better communicate and find that alignment. I believe there's been a lot of conversations around more the financial aspect of things over the past 2 days. But I believe it's also extremely important for family offices and you working and managing the wealth of families to also understand those non-financial assets, right? The reputation, the knowledge, the skills, the non-financial assets, which can really have an important impact in the long-term success of a family enterprise. And so yeah, that will be the point of today's conversation. Is going to be focused on kind of sharing our family story. So the Solvay family case, and let's dive into it. So maybe a few words about myself. So I head the global partnership program today at Trusted Family. I'll come back to what is Trusted Family and what we've developed over the past 12, 13 years. I'm also fortunate to be a member of the Solvay family enterprise, which is a large Belgium company. It's listed on the stock market, and then the family is organized through a holding, owning shares of the company, and has all sorts of diversifications committees that have been set up to try to structure ourselves as we're passing on to our generation. Um, so yeah, I've been working alongside and collaborating with families for the past 10, 15 years around really helping them with the advisors of families, helping them better operate and excel through technology and improve their communication. Prior to that, I started my career at Procter and Gamble, and I'm currently based in Brussels, Belgium. I grew up in Singapore. I lived 15 years in Singapore, so I do have a nostalgia when I see a lot of you coming from there, and I do hope to come back once the pandemic is better, because unfortunately these days it seems to be safer in Asia than it might be in Europe. But cross fingers that will progress nicely. Um, so maybe let me give you some highlight as to what some of the challenges we face. All everything started, as I said, about 15 years ago when they were preparing succession to our generation within the family. We realized that, of course, the family was getting bigger. Many family members were no longer working in the day-to-day operations of the company. There was also more complexity under ownership stakes. The information was scattered all over the place. We were sending stuff via email, but then some didn't know how email works, so we were like kind of shipping things around, and people kind of had their own storage systems, which created also some security issues back in the days. And there's also uh, we started also creating all sorts of working entities, because we realized that it was important not just to expect dividend and to live on the legacy business, but also to operate as an entrepreneurial family, to move kind of from being a legacy business to an entrepreneurial one, where we start, you know, creating entrepreneurial projects, working on committees, building councils together to really help us, yeah, make decisions and progress at our generation. And so it was important to structure ourselves. We also had different lifestyles, people living around the world. So it was basically important, yeah, as I said, for us to really improve the way that we actually make decisions, operate, and communicate. And so that's where this whole entrepreneurial journey started. So I have a cousin, Edward Jansen, who came to our family and presented this idea of actually organizing and structuring a platform to help us communicate, organize meetings, and structure our information. And so, long story short, the project got validated, it got invested, and then uh, as we were rolling it out for family, we realized that there's actually many other family businesses around the world that actually have the same challenge, right? How do you, uh, data in today's world is an asset that families need to control, is an asset that family needs to understand and preserve. And when families invest in 20, 30 years ahead, thinking at the younger generation, that's the same thing they need to, that's the same way you need to look at the data and the assets of your family and of your clients. And so on that premise, we started rolling out the platform, believing there were many other families that had the same challenges that we faced. And so, long story short, Trusted Family today is a technology solution, a SaaS technology solutions that we've been developing over the past 10 years. We work with over 170 plus family clients and family offices around the world who really uses our technology solution to communicate with their boards, with their shareholders, with their family members, in order to help them operate more effectively with their and better collaborate, not just within the family but also with experts, with their advisors, tax lawyers, etc., around the world. And so yeah, we've been progressing nicely. We have 170 clients. We have offices in New York, London, Brussels. Today we have different hubs. We have a hub in charge of Asia, we have a hub in charge of the DACH region, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, which is an important one for us, and then and progressively, slowly but surely growing as a and as a scale up company. We're a team of 33 people now in the organization, really helping families in their digital transformation through the software. And I think maybe before diving in, I think and sharing really a demo concretely as to how it's used, and because I think that will be the most relevant. I think what's important to mention is it's not necessarily only the technology that's important, right? It's not the software. It's not because you have a platform in place that family members will uh, really be cohesive, that they will be aligned, that they will better communicate, etc. It's about the content, right? It's about making sure the information you share onto the platform is made available. And so we started building these best practices and collecting all these ideas that we've seen from all of our clients around the world, bringing templates available for our clients on different matters around education, around talent management, around investing together, around entrepreneurship, all these matters which really are at heart a lot of our families and a lot of our clients around the world. And yeah, and I think we have, and I'll come back to that. I think we have the very different type of clients. We have some very large, very structured families like mine, like Mishna here or Vermeer. These are few of our clients that are more on the larger side of things, really using the platform and very complex governance structures. But we also have very small working entities with only 10 shareholders who actually uses the software also to just organize their meetings and sign off on documents and structure their data to help them operate. So maybe what I suggest doing is let me go ahead and give a live demo before doing that. Yeah, if there are any questions, I don't know if I can be pinged, but let's try and make it as interactive as possible, right? So if you have any question at any point in the session, just let me know, and ping me or make a noise, or I don't know if you can speak, but feel free to speak out. Great. So let me actually give a demonstration. I'll give a demonstration of the web. We also have a native Android and an iOS app available, where I would say a lot of our users use consume the information because it's very, very simple. When you get a notification, basically you get an alert on your mobile devices, and you can automatically connect wherever you are in the world. But every client has its own domain name, its own dedicated portal. We have emails, passwords. Security is, of course, something we take extremely seriously. It could actually be an own session in itself. So feel free to reach out if you have really more in-depth questions around security. But on this page, I mean, I'm not showing it here, but we have two-factor authentication. We have external audit firms that assess our layers of security, because we indeed manage information that is extremely sensitive. And so we've been working with trusted partners throughout the years, and so happy to share any sorts of information around that with you afterwards. So yeah, but every user has an email and a password to connect to the system. And then once you connect to the system, you basically arrive on this landing page, which is really a landing page that is specific for each individual members, right? So that's the first exercise we really try to work when speaking with families, is really need to understand and mirror the governance structures of families online, right? So in this case, it is a very complex and structured family. We often recommend starting very small with one or two entities, and then as they get familiar with the software, start progressing, adding investment committees, boards, etc. But in this case, this family, it's they have family members, shareholders, board members, family office staff, family council, etc., investment committees. And then when you invite people to the platform, of course, we just give them emails, addresses, and if you're an external board member, you would just have access to the boardroom. If you're, you probably have people with multiple hats, therefore you'd be a family member, shareholder, board member, and have access to many different sections within the organization and within the platform. So you can either be, and you have different roles within the system depending on the hat and your responsibilities within those entities. So that's the first thing, is creating the platform, managing the structures, and giving the right permissions, because that is the key, is giving the right access right to different individuals. And then from that exercise, we actually start having conversations and really document the way that they operate today, understanding what are the types of information they make available, what are the types of meetings that they have on a monthly, quarterly basis, to really try to replicate that also via the system. So in this case, you have the way in business. So you have the business information, the board information. They have the family office, family news. They are working on some governance and philanthropic initiatives. So we also, can customize. You'll see that there's a nice mixture between business matters and maybe more family matters with the family tree, etc. This is because I have access to everything. So for example, if I'm connecting as an external board member, you'll see that my permissions, my access right, everything kind of changes depending on the roles that I play within the organization. And if I'm connecting here as an external board member, I could just see, or as an external committee member, whatever, it's the same for every entity. I would arrive on this landing page and just see the menu items that make sense for me. And so I can click on the board meeting minutes, and here I can really store any information, right? I can go ahead, different views, but I can, I can either create folders, I can create an article, so minutes of our meeting, and then start typing all sorts of meeting action points, agenda points, etc. via the system. So all of that is live. It's happening on the platform, and you can assign action points, etc. to different people. And what's quite handy is you can you can both have the minutes of your meeting that is happening, but also upload files. If you're having this session that is being recorded, also you could also upload the recording of your Teams or Zoom meeting, and therefore have a one pager where you can see all the action items, the agenda points, the documents, and the recording of that meeting hosted in one single location. And believe me, from where we were when we started all of this project and when we were using it in our family, it's way more structured today. And it really is handy, because when you have an external board member that needs to join, or when you have a family member that becomes a shareholder, he or she can kind of easily educate themselves by having access to all sorts of information. I'll come back to the search filter, but you can search for the first 16,000 words that are within documents that you upload. So it's really quite handy from an archiving point of view. And then you can upload any type of format and files into the system. It can be Word documents, Excel files. You see, I've been actually playing around, and we have different functionalities. We have annotations within the documents. So I can go ahead, I can start highlighting stuff. taking notes, discuss our investments for Q3 and Q4, whatever. You can play around, change the font, change the size. All of that is rendered. You can preview everything. We've also integrated here with a technology called HelloSign. This has not been developed in-house. We've integrated with the solution because there's a lot of legal implications around electronic signatures. And so what we've done here is once a document is signed by everyone, it basically adds an audit trail that you can see here where you can see the IP address of the person, when it was signed, etc. And this is really what makes it legally binding. And you can see that I signed that document here. What's also quite valuable is you have visibility on the activity. So an administrator, the one organizing and creating the content, he or she can see who's viewed the information, who's downloaded it. If you've sent alerts via the mobile or the web, you can see who's accessed what. And this is really important also as you're organizing and managing meetings. If you see that a person hasn't had time yet to review the meeting, rather than spamming everybody, you can just be more specific. I can go ahead and say, well, Zippo or Sophia, here are board documents for tomorrow. You can basically tailor your message, click send, and that will send, of course, an alert and prompt the person to actually connect to the system. So conscious of time, let me go through different sections. So yeah, we have a meetings and events application ready to organize all these sessions. It can be synchronized with your own personal calendars because you don't want to yet again have another calendar to manage. You can organize board meetings, family gatherings, shareholder meetings, investment meetings, whatever, where you can either add in a Zoom link here, or either if it's a physical event, see the location of it. You can see who's attending. You can even RSVP, ask questions. This is less legally binding, but if you really want to get agenda points or vote on specific points, or get feedback on topics for the participants of a meeting, you can always ask questions as people respond. You can add attachments, etc. Maybe what I can also do, I think there's a lot of you, I think there are a few points that I'm keen to share with you also. One is, the platform in itself, but also the vision as to where we're going, working with family business advisors and partners around the world that have basically started using our platform with their clients as means to actually professionalize the way that they communicate with the families, but also support the families in the long run. It's, family business advisors sometimes not just about setting up the charter, setting up the family constitution, understanding what is it the family wants to achieve. It's also about helping them roll it out, organize it, and manage it, right? I always say a family business advisor kind of organizes the map for the family, and trusted family is kind of the journey that can accompany that map and help the family progress. So we've been working more and more with a lot of advisors around the world that actually use the solution for their families during their mission with families, and then afterwards they keep a hand because they sit on committees, they sit on councils, and so they keep using the software to keep collaborating, and it enables them to also monitor progress, monitor how things are doing, monitor the roles and responsibilities that each people is having onto the platform in order to keep supporting them in the best possible way. Because owning data is owning insight, right? I think it's in today's world, the more we spend a lot of time analyzing statistics, understanding what are the types of content that are relevant for each different user group on every client platform, and this enables us to really specify. To really be more specific on the type of information that should be uploaded on the platform. Yeah, so maybe something also, so every shareholder or beneficiary or can have its own also private vaults where you can have your personal folders. So I have my personal folders here with my tax, my insurance agreements, my dividend notices, estate plannings, and this is only visible to myself. I can receive my plan, my document, or my tax, my accountant can upload my files here onto the system and can actually ask me to just, if I need to sign off or make an action, they can just sign it off and I would have access to it here. So yeah, that's for that. We also have surveys applications for votings, which I feel is also extremely valuable and important. So you can have shareholder voting. I think there was a something that a client did once, where you can, this can either be anonymous or not. You can, have multiple choice text. You can even, this is used in many different ways. Even clients for finding dates for meetings sometimes use this so that they can just send out possible times and dates and see when people are available. And then you just click submit, and then you can start analyzing the responses. So we've been developing it for the this for the past for the past 10 years, 10 plus years, and it's been used by, yeah, as I said, over 170 families today. There's continuous progress. We are actually working on a new brand and a new design for the platform on great new features, which is looking to be much more integrative also, because I believe tomorrow's world is one that will be able to coordinate and integrate with all sorts of other external tools that are out there, legal software, there's financial softwares, etc. So that's where we're going, and that's where we are heading. Let me just pause a second to see if there are any questions in the soft system. No, well then let me continue. Let me continue then, if everybody can still hear me. Oops, let me go ahead and share my screen. Where is that? Sorry, I'm trying to figure out. I'm not used to this application. Here we go. So I think there's something else which I feel makes sense to share is, as I said, there's the technology on one side of things, but there's also all the support, the advisory, the community. So basically, we've been building kind of a community for all of our clients, where we actually had an event in Miami last week, bringing all of our customers together in the US, sharing best practices as to how they communicate, sharing best practices as to how they operate and make decisions as a family. Because believe me, one of the biggest thing to do is making sure there's alignment within the family members. And you might say, and you might think, okay, when you're 3, 4, 5, that would be easier to do, but actually it might be the contrary, because the more you are, the more people want to have a voice, and the more difficult it gets to actually get stuff done and get decisions happen, and start making decisions. So believe me, it's important to really start early, to make sure everybody understand their roles, their responsibilities within their organizations, in order to to support your clients best, right? And yeah, and so maybe a few points. So we have different server setups. We have server setups in Europe, in the US. We have our fees also, which is a typical annual recurring fee that clients pay for the use of the system. It's it starts at $7,000 for 10 users, and then goes to 10,000 for 25 users, which is the main package that our clients actually kind of take today. Um, and yeah, and then there's the whole. I mean, we've been organizing ourselves with the client team, and today, coming back to kind of Solvay and our family story, right? We've been using it for many years now. We've been organizing through different committees. So there's an ownership committee that uses it for all sorts of more official communication, and then we've started also. We have a whole next gen committee that we've set up. When was it? It was maybe 5, 6 years ago, something like that, with different subcommittees within that, where we have an entrepreneurial a task force, which really helps us decide where we want and support entrepreneurial mindset within our family. So we do a lot to help make sure all of our family members keep that energy, which will help the family stay wealthy and successful in the long run. So keeping that entrepreneurial mindset is really key. So we invest quite a lot and put a lot of energy in supporting family entrepreneurs. There's someone, all the education and talent management is also something really important. We actually launched this initiative where you can go work for 2 years in the company and discover kind of the ins and outs of the various jobs and positions we have in the organization and around the world. So that's something that we've also recently set up to try to sponsor, to support, but also to encourage family members to stay close to the to the family business basically, and better understand, because it's a chemical. Unfortunately, we don't do beer, or we don't end up selling a product that's fancy. At the end of the day, we're a chemical company, which is raw material. So it's important to kind of educate, inform, and teach family members what is it we really do, right? Um, so yeah, great question around security. So we basically, I mean, we have different servers where our data is stored. We also have clients that have their own dedicated server, which is something that we've helped set up for a few of our clients too. Um, and and we have basically also a security committee that meets up every month to analyze, to assess, to share best practices. And there are two layers. There's of course the servers and the technology itself. And so for that, every year we hire external firms that try to hack into our systems and makes us a vulnerability report with improvements, because it's basically having a security is having a process. So we need to have the right process in place to make sure we're on top of things from a security and a data perspective. And so we hire external firms that audit us annually. I think we've just finished the report with a partner in the UK. Well, a partner with a person we hired in the UK called the Shillings Group, who went ahead and assessed the software, the platform, but also within the system, also the permissions, right? Because if I'm a board member, I should not be able to see access to family information, and vice versa. So there's not just entering the platform, there's also within the platform all sorts of patches and security layers that are assessed every year. And then in addition to that, we provide a lot of trainings, because at the end of the day, it's the risk, and it's like everything. Today all of our life is on our mobile. We make all of our payments. We invest in crypto. I see there was a session on that directly from our phones, and it's about, well, how do you secure that? How do you store that? And that requires educating family members, educating users on best practices around security. Identifying those 4, 5, 6 platforms that you use where there's a lot of sensitive information, and making sure you have a policy that every quarter you just update your password. And it should not be passwords that you can't remember, because that's not good. It's not secure also if you can't remember it. But it's also about making sure that you have strong authentications. We also force two-factor authentications on our clients. So you need to not just connect with your email and password, but you need to connect. You receive a token on your phone, and you need to put those numbers and digits in order to authenticate the user onto the system. I think it's funny you mentioned this around security, because I think before working with us, I always have this conversation with clients as to, well, how do you operate today and how do you communicate today? And believe me, 90% of family offices and clients, before working with Trusted Family, everything transits via email. Or if it's not email, because they think they want to really be secure, they put a password protection to it, and they think that is secure, but it's the easiest thing to hack. Here, whenever we notify, whenever we share information with people, it never transits via email, right? You receive an alert via email, you receive alert via your phone. We can even specify the type of, we can even, depending on the layers of security that you add, it can either be, someone shared something with you to having the name of the document hidden even in that alert and that notification. So that, all of these securities are very personal. Some families are extremely sensitive to that, others a bit less. And so we're always trying to find the right balance for our clients between security and usability. But yeah, all of that never transitions via email, and I would say it also provides structure, because if you start having information scattered in everybody's drawers, and you kind of, the family office loses where that information is stored, it is a risk. And it is a risk that it really invites you to assess, right? There are many options out there. It's important for a family office to really make sure that they control their information, they know where all the latest information are, and that it doesn't go all over the place. Um, yeah, so I think we had 30 minutes for this session. I don't know if there are any other questions or any other points, I think I can share my contact details in the discussion board, or I don't know if it's available in other locations. Just family.net. Let me just make sure I spelled that right. Yes. So if you have any questions, any comments, any topics you would like to discuss, any best practices, or also from other families. We work with families around the world. We have families in Asia. We've just signed a new client in Australia yesterday or the day before. So fortunately, the pandemic had a positive impact on our business, because more and more organizations and families needed to find ways to actually operate independently, and so yeah, so it's been really helpful. Yeah, great question. Um, we whenever we set up a platform, so we have a whole methodology. Once a contract gets signed with the client here, the question is around how much basically trusted family remains involved once the platform is up and running for a client. Typically, how it works, once a contract is signed with the client, we have a whole methodology from an onboarding perspective where we assess, just what are even the objectives for that one specific client. Because believe me, I have clients with many different objectives. Some just want to have a platform so shareholders can't complain. The information is not accessible, and others really want to focus on shareholder engagement, communication, and drive that cohesion and drive that efficient ways for board shareholders and owners to communicate and make decisions. And therefore understanding those objectives helps us operate more effectively and support the family more effectively. So we have an onboarding process where we assess all of this information. We structure the platform, we customize the platform, the look and feel, the URL, the domain. We train the people, and we train what we call administrators for the platform. So we basically have a series per client. We have maybe 2 or 3 administrators, which become our main contact points. When there's a family office, it's always the family office with whom we coordinate. And basically we train them, we educate them, we prepare them to be able to manage the platform autonomously and by their own. And so once the platform gets launched, depending on the family, some, because we've developed really nice relationship, they keep giving us an access to their system so that we can keep supporting them, analyzing, sharing best practices, and kind of guiding them step by step. But we have other clients that you say, okay, once the platform is launched, it's our tool, it's our software, and the teams at Trusted Family, thank you, but we'll put you. We don't want you and don't need you to have access to the portal. So that's more on a case by case basis, but we are totally fine by not having access. It's even better sometimes at not having access to the client platforms and just having quarterly meetings with them, assessing analytics and looking at metrics to see how things are going, and to understand how best we can support the family around content or around engagement or around best practices. And I think having those conferences, so we don't organize one in Asia yet. I think we'll be looking at doing that. I think it's been really complicated traveling over the past 2 years, but we have conferences today in Miami, New York, London, and Paris, where we basically bring all of our families together to as I said, to share the learnings there. Great. Well, I think it's been a long day, I believe, for a lot of you. So, I think if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. It was a pleasure. I hope the communication in the line was not too bad, and that everything passed. You were able to see the screen and hear me properly. And yeah, looking forward to staying in touch and to reconnecting soon with some of you. So have a great weekend ahead and Friday afternoon.